This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Roll. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, the minister responsible for aviation and transport addressing the November 9th plane crash in Parliament today. Minister Glenys Hannah Martin says it could be a while before officials determine what caused the deadly crash that killed renowned pastor Dr. Myles Munroe, his wife, and 7 other passengers. It could take months for investigators to find out exactly what led to the crash that claimed the lives of 9 persons on Grand Bahama over a week ago. In giving an update on the crash that left the nation shocked, the Minister for Transport and Aviation, the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, in the House of Assembly on Wednesday, said even though the cockpit voice recorder and digital electronic control monitor were found 2 days after the crash, an investigation of this nature will require more data,
including all other surrounding circumstances to the crash which may be relevant to the investigation, and, if necessary, analysis of aircraft parts by the manufacturers, Bombardier, a process I'm advised may possibly take several months to complete.
Minister Hannah Martin confirmed that investigators found the cockpit voice recorder and the digital electronic engine monitors at the site where the Lair 36 executive jet went down.
The investigation process is continuing, and next month, that is in December, the team comprising the Bahamas Department of Civil Aviation, the FAA, the NTSB, and Bombardier will reconvene in Washington, D.C. at the NTSB headquarters to further progress the investigation and to commence a formal analysis of the data retrieved from these recorders.
November 9th was a difficult day for the country. The minister thanked those who played a vital role during perhaps one of the hardest days in their life.
Teams from the Royal Bahamas Police Force and the Grand Bahama Shipyard, under the leadership of Assistant Commissioner Emmerich Seymour, worked throughout the night in torrential rains and in what must have been extremely difficult circumstances to recover the bodies of the crash victims. I take this opportunity to express my gratitude for their exemplary service on behalf of the Bahamian people.
As the investigations continue into this tragic incident, Martin is calling on family members of the victims and others to remain patient during this process.
The entire country, indeed the world, has been profoundly impacted by this tragedy. And I wish to assure that the Department of Civil Aviation will continue to accord the highest priority to this accident investigation. On behalf of my ministry, and indeed the people of the Bahamas, I once again extend my deepest sympathy to the families of the crash victims and to the family of Bahamas Faith Ministries. I will provide further information coming out of this investigation as circumstances permit.
Well, a memorial service is set for tonight at 7 o'clock at BFM here on Grand Bahama for the 9 persons who perished in that November 9th crash. And as tributes continue to come in, some are reflecting the contributions made by the victims to the gospel ministry. John Davis Roll reports.
In the aftermath of that fatal plane crash that claimed the lives of 9 persons, those close to some of the victims are reflecting on their legacies. Pastor David Knowles has been a part of Bahamas Faith Ministries International for some 30 years and says there are no words to describe the loss.
It's a very trying time. I think that we were reminded of a clipping that Dr. Munroe did during the independence service. And he made a prophecy. He said that between the year 2014 and 2015, that there's going to be an emergence of new leaders that's going to take over, that's going to rise to the top, new leaders that we didn't even know about. They're going to emerge. And I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen within the organization. Dr. David Burrows is now the chairman of Bahamas Faith Ministries, and he's taken on the challenge. He's born for this.
Pastor Knowles, who was on Grand Bahama for the Global Leadership Conference, spoke in glowing terms not only about the late Dr. Myles Munroe, but a woman he says was definitely the wind beneath the wings of the fallen leader, his wife, Pastor Ruth Ann Munroe.
Pastor Ruth was more my friend than Dr. Monroe. I was really close with her. I got to know her before I got to know Dr. Monroe. Very quiet. She was the woman that made the man, and in her quiet spirit, and she had a heart for people, and she lived that through the ministry she did. She really got involved in marriages, people marriage ministries, and so forth. And she has a legacy. Her and Dr. Pinder. She was quiet yet stern. She was quiet publicly, but when she wanted to say something, when she wanted her voice to be heard, and she had an opinion, her opinion was heard in a very strong way. And but she understood Dr. Monroe's vision, his calling on his life, and she submitted to that. I think she submitted to that more than anybody else. And Dr. Monroe was her man, and in her life, he was the man.
Then Pastor Knowles says there was a vital role of a man with a servant's heart, Dr. Richard Pinder.
Dr. Pinder was the guy that dealt with resources, dealt with management. He was a manager of time, he was a manager of resources, and he lived that. He was a manager with mobilizing people to function in the proper area.
Now, as the nation prepares to bid final farewells to the crash victims, Pastor Knowles says there is a hope that is at the bedrock of their faith, an assurance that they will see their loved ones again. John Davis Rowe, ZNS Network News.
Well, ZNS News has confirmed that the owners of Bahama Celebrations were on Grand Bahama today to take a look at the vessel that is now docked at the Freeport Harbor in need of repairs. The ship that sails between Freeport and West Palm Beach hit an object while going through the harbor channel on October 31st as the vessel was leaving the port and incurred significant damage. Since then, officials have been tight-lipped about the level of damage and if and when the service will return to Grand Bahama. Meantime, the Ministry of Tourism giving additional attention to the issue of service. Aware of the critical role service plays in the overall economy, key players in the industry are calling for a greater concentration on service excellence to keep the destination on the cutting edge. Megan Shepard reports.
Those involved in the tourism industry convening for a one-day symposium on various topics, including marketing and quality service. Benjamin Davis says when it comes to service, he believes it's inconsistent. That is why manager of the local tourism office, Betty Bethel, says the industry must prepare for what is to come.
I think service not only relates to the locals who are in the hospitality business, but I think service also relates to the persons who go shopping in Grand Bahama, who go to the banks, who go to get gas. I think the level of service overall has to improve.
We recognize where our deficiencies lie, and it is in training, it is in service delivery, quality service delivery. So our office decided that we needed to focus in that way, but we needed to bring owners and operators to the table, not just those persons who are providing the service.
Executive Vice President of the Bahamas Hotel and Tourism Association, Suzanne Batouche, pointing to the number of programs in place aimed at training and educating. She is stressing the importance of continued collaboration within the industry.
We have many facilities in existence today, and we want to continue to emphasize the need for those facilities and those support programs and those education and training with the Ministry of Tourism, with the Ministry of Education, to be supported by the private businesses.
Carmel Churchill, on the other hand, says the power and importance of marketing should not be underestimated.
One of the great things about the marketing update is having persons understand the customers that they're servicing coming into the destination, who they are, where they're coming from, and understanding what their needs are when they get here. And so once they understand those things, they're in a better position to deliver to the customer that exceptional Bahamas vacation experience that they've bought into.
Now, Director of Training in the Ministry of Tourism says he believes quality service should be a national concern.
I don't believe this is something that is relegated to Grand Bahama. I think, unfortunately, Grand Bahama has been one of those islands that has been very hard hit for some time. And so perhaps it's more pronounced here. But I believe every island in the Bahamas, including our city areas, New Providence and Grand Bahama, we need a serious injection, I would say, in service quality excellence.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
In other news, the Free National Movement's special convention is just days away. During that one-day parley, the issue of leadership will be placed before the delegates. Current leader Dr. Hubert Minnis is expected to be challenged by MP for Long Island Loretta Butler Turner. A Grand Bahama pastor is now putting his name in the hat in the race, but for the post of deputy chairman. Here's the story. He served in the Senate from 2007 to 2012, and he says his desire has always been to serve God and country. Reverend Frederick McAlpine is hoping to be elected as deputy chairman of the Free National Movement during the upcoming election on Friday.
I believe that I'm also a good person for this position because I'm able to articulate and to speak clearly and to speak to the issues clearly. Also, I represent the small man, the common man. I'm one of those who have come up in life. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I've had to have my struggles, and therefore I think it's time that we have people who can represent us and speak for us, who know how to struggle.
5 persons are running for deputy chairman in the FNM's convention, and 2 can be elected. However, McAlpine is the only candidate from Grand Bahama.
One is for specifically Providence, and the other one is for Grand Bahama and the Family Islands. There are a lot of things that have taken place in Grand Bahama, and we want to strengthen the voice of the opposition here in Grand Bahama and also the Family Islands, because sometimes even the Family Islands feel that they've been neglected in not having the opposition voice that is needed to represent them even in the Family Island communities.
McAlpine says he believes a strong opposition is important.
In order to be a good government, you must start by being a viable and recognizable opposition and really being the alternative to the government. And so not only must we oppose, but we must also be prepared to bring views and ideas and ideologies.
He was asked if he is pleased with the current status of the FNM.
I think that the party is striving. I think the party is becoming united. I think the party after this convention will be poised to be stronger and better, and will seek to do its utmost to represent the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas in the position of opposition.
Dr. Hubert Minnis is expected to be challenged by MP for Long Island Loretta Butler Turner. McAlpine says he wishes them both success, but regardless as to who comes out as leader, he is willing to work with them for the sake of the party and country.
My commitment is more so to the party than individuals. And we must recognize and we must learn to develop this recognition in the Bahamian politics that the party is bigger than individuals.
The FNM's one-day convention will convene on Friday at the Holy Trinity Activity Center in New Providence. Stay with us, there's more news right after this.
Bringing news that matters to you. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition.
Welcome back. Stakeholders in the culinary business teaming up with the Ministry of Tourism to look at the role culinary arts can play in the #1 sector. Italia Hall has the story.
They came together to show the important linkage between the culinary arts and the tourism industry. The meeting of the minds in conjunction with the Ministry of Tourism hosted the 2nd annual Culinary Fusion Expo. Director Sean Johnson came up with the idea in 2013, and it caught the attention of many. Residents and visitors were able to see firsthand what the Bahamas has to offer, and were also able to sample a wide variety of foods and drinks.
This is one of our initiatives to call November as the Culinary Month, and what better way than to join forces with the meeting of the minds. In this regard, we are able to contribute competition where we're both culinary and mixologists.
People get to go to places that they've never been before, or they wouldn't think to try, but it's all here and you can just have samples, so you just try something that you wouldn't usually go for, and it helps people broaden their horizons about what they have, what there is to be offered on Grand Bahama.
Residents and food vendors said it was a great economic boost.
I think it's a good thing. I've seen restaurants here tonight after even living on the island I didn't know existed, so which is a good thing.
I think it's good. It expands the economy and it lets the public know that we are there, we are a part of the community, and we want to know that they are welcome.
Good event where everybody comes together to try the local cuisines in a new way, and we get to support each other as an for the Bahamian economy.
The Bahamians, we do patronize all the businesses in Grand Bahama, so we like to come out, and it's good that they have all the vendors here for you to taste.
Some 20 restaurants and over 500 attendees took part in the event. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Looks good. Well, finally news this evening, the Freeport Primary School ending Numeracy Week with a big parade downtown Freeport. It was an exciting way to drive home an important lesson. Kimberly Mullings was there.
Students and teachers got as creative as possible, adorning themselves with everything about math. Onlookers supported the parade as they gathered near the roadside to not only get a glimpse, but to dance along with the Freeport Primary students. According to Principal Barbara Thompson and the parade organizer, Mrs. Nicola Mizik, the parade was put together to emphasize and promote the critical role that mathematics plays in our daily lives and the development of the Bahamas.
You know, most of the schools have been focusing on literacy, and we do have challenges in mathematics, and I think that is the throughout the country in all of the government schools. So we decided to focus the attention this year on numeracy instead of literacy.
2 years ago, we had the math officer from Nassau come in to do a workshop with us, and she so inspired the teachers at school that we thought it fitting that we would have a week of numeracy where we celebrated all the strands in math, and we highlighted everything that, day-to-day life that the kids need to know about math. And they need a more awareness of it so they'll be able to be comfortable with it.
5th grade teacher Ms. Janae Thompson added that it was a pleasure to see students across the school preparing for the parade.
It's great to see our students involved in numeracy. They are pumped up and they are ready to learn. So we're just excited to be here, and as you can see, the kids are enjoying it. Numeracy is a key aspect in our educational system, and it's something that the kids, some of them have fallen short on. So it's a good thing to get them excited and pumped up about numeracy and literacy as well.
Joyce Pinder with the Ministry of Education hopes that the numeracy parade was memorable for the students.
I'm really happy and excited about the thought that the teachers can get them that involved. And as I was walking and watching the parade, I realized that, it'll be an impact on their lives, and things that they have remembered and learned as they prepared for this parade will always be with them, and they'll always remember those things.
Kimberly Mullings, ZNS Network News.
Well, that's a look at stories making news this evening. Sabrina Brown has a check on sports when we come back.
Good evening and welcome to sports. I'm Sabrina Brown. The James Goon Culmer Keith Mullings Primary School's girls basketball champions crowned last Thursday, and a major celebration was held for the winning team. The Lewis Yard Primary Eagles celebrating a major victory after winning the James Goon Culmer Keith Mullings Primary School's girls basketball championship. Lewis Yard defeated Hugh Campbell 6-4 for the title. The school held a special assembly to celebrate the winning team. For Principal Sandria Bullard, it was a defining moment.
I am so elated. The kids worked so hard. Last year we came second, and now this year we came victorious. We were so excited. I'm so proud of them. They fought like monsters out there. I'm so proud of them.
Coach Valentino Munnings also proud of his team.
Girls worked pretty hard this season. They were tough. They fought every single game for every win they got. Their record was 7-0, so I'm extremely proud of them.
As the team prepares to compete on another level, Bullard is confident that they will continue to soar.
I think they're going to do an excellent job. Mr. Munnings has done such a wonderful job with the kids, and we've seen them grown over the years, so we know they will represent well.
In the consolation game, Bartlett Hill defeated Freeport Primary 2-0. And congrats to the Eagles. Well, the 2014 Junkanoo Jam NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament is November 27th through the 29th at the St. George's Gymnasium. The teams this year include the George Washington Colonials and Bahamian 6'4" power forward superstar Jonquel Jones. coming home. Also on court will be the East Carolina Pirates, North Carolina State Wolfpack, Purdue, Syracuse Orange, South Carolina Gamecocks ranked number 2 in the nation, the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and the Wisconsin Badgers. The Grand Bahama Volleyball Association on court last night at the St. George's Gym. The Pleasant All-Stars defeated the Youth in Action 30-28, 25-12, 18-25, 20-25, and 15-12 in the Ladies Showdown. In the co-ed clash, the Grand Bahama Shipyard Cruisers over the BUT Bulldogs 25-13 and 25-20. Play continues tomorrow. And that's your check on sports.